Welcome into STB Sports Take, simply the best sports podcast. I'm your host, Sean Bingham. Thank you for being here. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, all of it. Check us out, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Great show for you today. We're talking NBA Finals, of course. We're talking Aaron Rodgers and the drama around the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. We're talking a little bit of the French Open. Let's start, though, of course, with the NBA Finals. Game 2 happened, and Pacer fans, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. This is exactly what I said would happen, exactly what I expected to happen, because this is exactly what the Thunder did against the Denver Nuggets. They lost game 1 at home, and then they came back and steamrolled in game 2. They won that one by 43 points. This one wasn't quite as big of a victory, but it was controlled from start to finish by the Thunder, just like game 1 was, with the exception of those last few minutes. So I just don't think that this is going to be a super competitive series. I want it to be, but I do believe that the Thunder are going to continue rolling, likely win this in 5, maybe 6 games. I originally predicted 5. I did not think that they would lose game 1, but I do think they're the better team. But because of that, all of the pressure is on them. They are the younger team. They are the inexperienced team. They are the team with the worst coach, and everyone expects them to win. So there is more pressure on the Thunder. That could play a factor in giving the Pacers more and more of a chance. But can the Pacers continue this miraculous run with these crazy comebacks, this insane shooting in the clutch by Tyrese Haliburton? Some would say that's a sign that this is a team of destiny. Others would say it's a sign that it's just not sustainable in the long term. Can you continue to do this? I love what Haliburton's doing. He's been winning me over. He has had one of the most insane clutch runs in playoff history, maybe the most clutch run we've ever seen. I just don't know if it's really sustainable. And in game 1, the Pacers shot like 47% from 3, including a bank in a crucial moment by Miles Turner. And in game 2, they came back down to earth and shot 35%. Their season average was like 36%. So they shot in game 2 from 3 what they did all year long. That's what we can expect going forward in games 3, 4, 5. And so I just don't think the Pacers are going to be able to keep up the magical run to win 3 more of these against the Thunder. I heard Pacers fans saying, well, we had so many turnovers and we still won despite playing really, really poorly. Well, yeah, the Thunder turn people over. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. That's what they do. They force turnovers. So I actually would expect turnovers to continue, and I would not expect the Pacers to continue to shoot 46, 47% from 3. I would expect turnovers to continue to happen, and I would expect the Pacers to continue to shoot 35, 36, 37% from 3. And when those two things happen, they're going to lose by 15 points. So even at home in game 3, the Pacers are underdogs by 5.5 points. Nobody really believes in this team. I stand by that outside of Indiana and outside of that locker room. A lot of their fans do believe. I learned that in the comments on TikTok and whatnot. I love the Indiana Pacer fans. I love the fire. I love the hope. I love the faith. I love the excitement. I just think that they're overmatched and that this is the Thunder series to win or lose. And the only way the Thunder lose this series is if they choke it away. That's my honest thoughts. Because they're the better team. They're the deeper team. They're the favored team. They can steal home court advantage back by winning game 3, which I think they will do tomorrow night. But I will say this, the big advantage that the Pacers have is their head coach. Rick Carlisle is the better coach in this series. He's the more experienced coach. He's the championship coach. And if he makes the right adjustments and Daigneault doesn't, which, by the way, I have a hard time pronouncing his name. Forgive me if I butchered it. But if he doesn't make the right moves, then you could see the series shift, and that would be a huge coaching blunder by the Thunder, and you'd have a hard time overcoming that. I'm thinking too much about how I don't pronounce his name, and I'm not talking correctly. One thing I said about this series is that it would be a ratings nightmare with Indiana and OKC, 2 small market teams. Not exactly what the NBA would want. Not exactly proof that there's rigging of games and outcomes. Check this out. These are the highest rated NBA finals in history. The league started measuring the ratings in 1988. Okay, so that's why you see, look at the ratings. Lakers Pistons that year, 88, 21.7 million. All 6 of Michael Jordan's finals are on here. This NBA finals, the lowest rated in history. About 11 million people tuned into game 1. I have not seen the stats yet on game 2, but 11 million people tuned into game 1. The lowest game 1 in NBA Finals history. That is not a good sign for the NBA. That is why they maybe would be tempted to rig things to get the Knicks and the Lakers in there. But what they really need is stars. As you can see here, it doesn't have anything to do with the size of the market. Is Cleveland a big market? No, it is not. But what it did have was LeBron James, and so that made the list. Utah, Phoenix, Seattle, Portland, all of those made it on here. But why? Because Michael Jordan was in the finals. So that's why the league is desperate for this face of the league title they want to give somebody. And I do think it matters. Having big superstars, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, we care to watch the superstars. This is evidence of that. Again, the lowest rated final since they started actually measuring that in 1988. By the way, speaking of Michael Jordan, I stumbled upon this post. He got a new jet, and we're just going to take a quick detour here and talk about this. The GOAT. Look at that jet. That thing's sick. Okay, sorry. Little detour there. One thing I did love about Game 2 was Mike Breen with the first quarter, bang, when Tyrese Haliburton hit a three. Now, if you didn't hear, he got some pushback when he didn't say bang, his very patented and iconic bang call when guys hit big shots, but he's always said it on three-pointers. And so Tyrese Haliburton hits the game winner with 0.3 seconds left in Game 1, but it was a 2, and he didn't say bang, and he got a lot of pushback. People were like, why didn't you say bang? Why didn't you say bang? And he explained that, well, I've always reserved that for threes, with the exception of he recalled one moment years ago when Kobe Bryant hit a big two-pointer. But other than that, he's like, I just can't remember saying bang unless it was a three-pointer. So check this out. This is in the first quarter.
Haliburton fires three-pointer. Bang! I owe him that one, so I had to do it early.
Is that the earliest bang in the history of the NBA Finals?
Apparently. Joe, what a move from Isaiah Joe.
Here's the call from Game 1.
To give. Haliburton looking. Haliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Haliburton does it again.
So he doesn't say bang there, and people were kind of upset about that, thinking like, why didn't you say bang? You always say bang. And he's like, I save it for threes. But anyway, kind of a fun moment there. I love iconic calls. You just love iconic calls. My nephew knows the names of all the announcers, and he really, I mean, they have a real impact. You start to feel like you know these guys calling games because you listen to them so many times, and their voice is the voice you hear during some of these iconic moments as you're growing up, just watching, these sports heroes that you look up to and love watching, and you hear these voices. And so I think it's cool that people care that Mike Breen did or didn't say bang. I love that he cared to explain himself and then do it early in the first quarter to appease everybody. I just thought that was a really cool moment in sports broadcasting history. So moving on to Game 3 now. Tomorrow night in Indiana, the crowd will be ready. You Pacers fans, I know you're going to bring it. That crowd is going to be very loud, very excited, and they are going to energize that Pacer team. If the Pacers want a real chance at this series, I know it's 1-1. But you have to look at the facts. The Thunder have dominated all but 2 or 3 minutes of this series, and the one game that the Pacers stole, they shot 10% higher than their season average from three, including a bank by their center and a clutch shot at the very last second. So it took that to win one game. They were dominated for the entirety of that game before those last few minutes, and they were dominated the entirety of Game 2. So I do think that the Thunder are heavy, heavy favorites still. That said, we'll see what happens in Game 3. And if the Pacers want a real chance, I think they have to get Game 3 to hold on to home court advantage. If they lose Game 3, I could honestly see this thing ending in 5 games with the Thunder winning 3 straight from here. And I'll be rooting for Indiana because I want a close series. I want this to go 7 games. I would love overtime for the next 5 games straight. We go to 7-game series, overtime every time. I would love that. That would be a super fun series. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm rooting for Indiana in Game 3. Moving on to the NFL, of course, we all know Aaron Rodgers is now officially a Pittsburgh Steeler, something we all knew was going to happen months ago, weeks ago at least. It finally did happen. The deal was not as big as we thought. I'm seeing like $13.5 million with some incentives to get it up close to $20 million. So a little bit of a discount from the discount double check guy. Now, he offered the Rams a heavy discount because he wanted to go to L.A. Well, here's the interesting thing. We know that the Steelers weren't Aaron Rodgers' first choice. They were kind of his only choice. The question is, was he their first choice? Well, Adam Schefter says that he was not. Take a look at this. Schefter is reporting that Aaron Rodgers was the Steelers' not first, not second choice, but third choice. He says their first choice was Matthew Stafford, after that Justin Fields, and then they basically just resorted to Aaron Rodgers at the last minute. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if I believe that. You can see the quote here. So a couple of thoughts here. Is this real? Is this true? I don't really know, but here's my honest thought. I don't think it is. I think this was what the Steelers wanted. Maybe they tried to get Matthew Stafford, but did they really think they could get him? Maybe they tried to sign Justin Fields, but what did they really offer him? And did Justin Fields really want the Jets over the Steelers? He was already there. Or did he just not feel welcome enough? Did not feel loved enough? Did he know they were actually looking for Aaron Rodgers or somebody else to desperately replace him with, and he didn't want to deal with that? I think what the Steelers are doing is that they know that many of the fans are upset. People close to and important to the team like Terry Bradshaw are upset, and this is their way of appeasing those people by leaking information that maybe isn't entirely true. Did they really not want Aaron Rodgers? It felt like from the very beginning that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, they were the last resort. Aaron Rodgers was the goal. They were the last resort. And because of that, both of them left to go find teams that actually wanted them. Justin Fields to the Jets, and of course, Russell Wilson to the Giants. I think that's what happened, is that they didn't go after either of those guys, even though they say they went after Justin Fields. They didn't do it. They couldn't really get Matthew Stafford. Were they really going to lure him away from LA? Was LA really going to take Aaron Rodgers over Matthew Stafford at this stage in their careers? None of that was going to happen. Everybody knew the writing was on the wall. Rodgers was going to Pittsburgh. And because it happened, and there's backlash from fans, backlash from important people in the team's history like Terry Bradshaw, now they're trying to save face and saying like, well, we didn't really have much of a choice. We tried to get Matthew Stafford. We tried to re-sign Justin Fields. But at this point, he's the best available option, so we're going to give him a one-year deal. That is what happened, but I think it's exactly what the Steelers wanted to happen, as weird as that sounds. Either way, it doesn't sound like a recipe for success. It's almost like a breakup happened, and both parties are kind of arguing about who broke up with who, only in this case, they got together, and they're both arguing over like who wants the other one more. It seems a little bit childish, a little bit weird. I've predicted that the Steelers will go 10-7. I'll go ahead and keep that as my prediction, but I would not be surprised if you actually see the Steelers, for the first time under Mike Tomlin, have a losing season at 8-9. All right, shifting over to the French Open. What an epic finish we had in the men's final with Sinner and Alcaraz going the distance, 5 sets. Sinner's up 2 sets to love, and Alcaraz just comes storming back. Unbelievable clutch performance by Alcaraz. He really has Sinner's number, and now he has 5 Grand Slams, and he's only 22. That ties him with Nadal, way ahead of where Federer was at, way ahead of where Djokovic was at that time in their careers at age 22. So Alcaraz is the real deal. He actually has a chance. Now, again, it's way, way early. We've got to see how long he can keep this up, if he can stay healthy, all those things. But we actually do have a guy who could immediately step in and rival the greatness of Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Roger Federer. And he's got a rival in place with Sinner right there, also great, also young. So tennis is in good hands. We watched the end of an era with these other guys. Djokovic is still fighting, but he's just not quite. You can see the down slope of his career happening. My guess is he's got 1 or 2 more years before he's no longer consistently competing even in semifinals of Grand Slams. But it was an epic finish. Big congrats to Alcaraz. On the women's side, Coco Gauff beat Sabalenka, and Sabalenka was as big as sour grapes after. Did you hear that? She's like talking about how Coco Gauff didn't win it, I lost it. And it was really sour grapes, like sore loser type mentality. Now, she did have like 70 unforced errors, so I understand where she's coming from with that. And she did later clarify the next day that that's what she meant. But in the moment, really, that's what you're going to say at the press conference after is like, oh, I lost it. She didn't win. She didn't win because she played great. She won because I played bad. What? Of all sports, tennis, you're going to act like that? I was very surprised, very unimpressed, because she's winning matches, coming down the stairs on all their Instagram posts, doing the funny dances, joking with Novak Djokovic, who's going back and forth on Instagram. And it's like this funny little thing, this performance we're expecting from her after each match that she wins. All fun and happy. And then the moment she loses, she can't even congratulate her opponent properly. She has to say, well, you only won because I played bad today. I thought that was sour grapes. I didn't like it. I like that she apologized, but even in the moment, come on, be a little bit more classy than that. Now, with that, did you see this post by Coco Gauff? I had no idea this was the case, but apparently the trophy that they have and that they hold up there on the court as they celebrate, that's not theirs. They have to leave that with the tournament, and they take home a much smaller replica. I don't know why this seems so cheap and lame, but it does. But check this out. This is Coco Gauff sharing with everybody what the real trophy looks like.
Or Roland Garros, and this is the trophy that you guys see, the one that we take pictures with, do press with, and all that. But actually, we don't get to take this home. This stays with the tournament, and I'm going to show you guys the one we take home. It's a lot smaller. So this is the one we take home. It's like a mini replica of the trophy, and yeah, I guess to compare it, it's really small. So reference, this is a Perrier bottle. This is a cup, and that's how small it is. But it's the memories that matter the most.
I love that post. That is so funny. I mean, what a weird thing. They have this. Why not just give them that one? Why not just, I don't know, maybe they don't want it. Maybe because their trophy rooms get so big. These guys win 20, 30, but most people don't. Most people aren't Novak Djokovic. Most people aren't Serena Williams. So I think they should get like a real sized trophy, but this is like a teeny little miniature one. Kind of funny. All right, next story. LeBron James goes on his podcast with Steve Nash. Luka was there, and he talks about how people say he has no bag. Let's just hear the quote, then we can talk about it.
All the time, it's like, I'll be on social media, like, LeBron has no bag. It's like, I'm sitting over here.
What is that?
LeBron has no bag, and I'm sitting like at 50 billion points.
Right. Leading scorer of all time in the NBA, no bag.
One, he kind of doesn't have a bag in the sense of what a bag is. Now, is he a better player than players that have a bag? Yeah, of course he is. But a bag is like your full arsenal, your full repertoire of like shots and moves that you can do and that you're capable of. Now, he's one of the greatest players of all time, but just because you're the leading scorer all time doesn't mean you're the best scorer all time. It doesn't mean you're the greatest scorer of all time. It just means you scored the most points. Like there are running backs that have more yards than Barry Sanders, but you can't convince me that they're better than Barry Sanders. There are people that have more points than Michael Jordan, but you can't convince me that they were better scorers. They just did it for longer. Total is not the same as average. Average over an extended period of time is the better measuring stick for the greatest. So that's the first thought. The second thought is, how weird and desperate does this come across? I mean, LeBron James appears to me to have guys on payroll, lots of people on payroll, where their sole goal is to talk about how great he is and how he's the greatest. I mean, how weird is that for Steve Nash to be sitting there? Steve Nash is clearly getting paid by LeBron James' company to do this podcast. Is he going to disagree with him? Is he going to say anything that like I just said? Or is he going to be like, oh, that's so weird. Like, of course you're the best. Like, of course you have the best bag ever. Like, what else is he going to say? He just surrounds himself with these yes men. We've seen it before in his barbershop thing where he's like, oh, that one right there, that made me the greatest. That one right there made me the greatest. Like, these are people he's paying. He's paying for these productions to be made. He's paying for these people to be employed to tell him and us that he's the greatest. It just comes across a little bit desperate, a little bit immature, a little bit insecure, a little bit weird, in my personal opinion. I have LeBron James as the second greatest basketball player of all time, but that isn't good enough for him and his fans. He wants all of us to believe he is the greatest, and the more he pushes that he is, the more I pull back that maybe he's not even the second greatest. All right, I don't talk baseball a ton. I will as the summer progresses, as we get closer to the postseason and things like that. But I have to talk about what I am seeing as the greatest catch. I think this is the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life. Take a look at this.
Field, Denzel Clark on the move back after he stepped.
Oh my God!
Makes another catch.
Oh my God!
Back-to-back weeks where he wins the electric play of the week, and he's already on the leaderboard for this week.
Look at this guy.
You go ahead and book it.
Everybody's in disbelief.
I've heard the list. I've seen the list of the greatest catches you're ever going to see in your life. If you don't have room for this one on your list, we're watching two different sports.
Unreal. Look at this.
Denzel Clark climbs the ladder and then hangs out.
The wall.
You want to talk about playing above the rim, folks. This ball is out of the ballpark by 5-6 feet. And Denzel says, nay, nay, give me that back.
Can we talk about
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, he climbs the wall like we've never seen and somehow manages to stay in the park with the ball. I mean, this is just unreal. Look, pitcher's in disbelief. The batter's in disbelief. He's like, you just stole a home run from me, bro. That was a home run. Nobody can believe what they just saw. Unbelievable catch. Mad props there. So maybe we'll be talking a little bit more baseball. I don't know. All right, you guys, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us here on STB Sports Take, simply the best sports podcast. I am out. Peace.